I know this is not the answer that's going to make sense, but it was love. I didn't love my body. I didn't love myself. When I was putting on that weight, it was very much a season of life where I felt deeply unhappy. I felt disconnected from myself. I didn't feel very worthy or very lovable. And in losing the weight, the number one thing that I changed was that I figured out, books, meditations. I've tried it all. I've really tried everything and anything. But the thing that ended up shifting things for me is I just came into this sense of loving myself, of feeling my inherent worthiness to know that I was lovable.
Where's the state of your business as you go back to America?
I didn't know. That was the honest answer. I didn't know. So I continued working with them for a little while longer, maybe a month or two longer. And the way that the pandemic had unfolded, things just changed a lot. So it made sense to, on both ends, just end that contract. And I didn't really have a plan. I did have enough money. I had enough in savings to just kind of exist. So that's what I did for the next probably about 6 months. I took about a 6-month sabbatical and I focused on healing my body. So I lost during 2020. So basically for the whole year, I lost about 50 to 60 pounds during that year. So it was a lot actually. And I really just worked on nourishing my body. And then I also finished my manuscript. I had a book that I was writing, and it was very much a casual endeavor. I hadn't put any serious thought into it. And so I finished my manuscript. And then after taking about 6 months off, I did get another contract with a technology company doing advising, like what I'd done in corporate, the intersection of business process and people. And it was actually kind of a perfect balance. I had 3 things that I was doing. I was advising companies at a high level. I ended up pouring wine at a winery in Santa Barbara where I lived because as an extrovert during COVID, I wanted some way to communicate with humans. So we were all outside. It was pretty safe, I hope. And I got to basically do stand-up comedy. Like I just used the ability to pour wine as a testing ground for my jokes. And then I would know if the material was good to put in my book. And then I finished my book manuscript. So it was a really, really fun year and very playful, very fun. And that definitely helped the heartache of leaving London. So that's what I did.
Wow. Wow. 50 to 60 pounds, nourishing your body, 6-month sabbatical. What? I'd like to stay here just one more minute, and then I'd really love to dive into your business and some of the things you teach, because I've learned from you, and I want to give our audience the chance to do that. I'm curious, how did you lose 50 to 60 pounds? Because that just doesn't, you don't get lucky, and that just happens. What happened to lose 50 or 60 pounds, Cassie?
I know this is not the answer that's going to make sense, but it was love. I didn't love my body. I didn't love myself. When I was putting on that weight, it was very much a season of life where I felt deeply unhappy. I felt disconnected from myself. I didn't feel very worthy or very lovable. And in losing the weight, the number one thing that I changed was that I figured out, books, meditations. I've tried it all. I've really tried everything and anything. But the thing that ended up shifting things for me is I just came into this sense of loving myself, of feeling my inherent worthiness to know that I was lovable. And it's truly taken a lifetime. I still have to practice it. It's not like a one and done thing, especially when I think somebody like me where you're very success driven, like you feel this urgent, dire need to prove yourself through external achievements. Like that.
Yes.
That's almost an addiction. Like I call that an achievement addiction in a way. And I had to kick that achievement addiction. And the way I did that is I upgraded the need for external achievement to really realizing like I'm lovable, just me, just how I exist, being a human being, getting the gift of life. We all are. I believe that very deeply. Like we're all given this beautiful gift of living and we all show up lovable. And we forget that. The traumas and the dramas and the things that unfold. Like, so to me, I just focused on remembering that I was lovable. And because I felt lovable, then I took actions that felt loving toward my body. And that looked like changing how I nourished myself and changing how I moved. And it's been a long time. I mean, that process started, 3.5, almost 4 years ago now. And I tried so many different kinds of movement because I wasn't sure what would actually feel really good and what would feel really loving. And I've been through lots of different seasons since then. More importantly, even than the achievement of losing the weight, I've actually kept it off, which is pretty exciting to me because the statistics, if you lose that much weight, or that you will gain it back, especially within the next few years. And I didn't. And so the North Star for me is, how do I move and how do I love my body from a place of joy and having fun? So if you asked me this, 18 months ago, I was in peak running shape. I had just done a half marathon for my birthday. That's my birthday present to myself. I was lifting weights. I was Russian deadlifting about my weight. I was Russian deadlifting like 115 pounds or so. And my body was really stressed. It was really unhappy. And so I had to take a step back and I had to ask myself, what would feel good? Like, what would be loving? What would be nourishing? Those are usually my questions. What would be loving? What would be nourishing? So now what my life looks like is I do a lot of hiking, I do a lot of swimming, and I dance. I dance and I dance and I dance. That's a whole other topic. But dancing is what brings me joy. It's movement that feels really good in my body. And so for me, the balance that I've found in terms of like how to love my body and how to nourish it has just been a question of, in this season, what's the most loving thing I can do? And what would feel really good? What would feel really fun? And that feel good feeling just leads me to like better and better activity.